What's up everyone, it's Ojh and we're back at it again, and in this video, Season 8 content overview preview of all of the things that are coming in Season 8, which starts on August the 21st and runs through till October the 1st. In that, we've got a new mini, we've got Dryad. I think that a lot of people knew that was coming. There's been some spoilers out there already. We finally have got a new dungeon, got Scholomance, which is coming into the game. There's some new in-game shop upgrades that especially affect the grid, which I think are some decent improvements. And then there are some bug fixes, improvements and optimizations in there, which we'll cover at the end. And as we go through this, I give a little bit of my opinion as we go, because I think there's some good stuff in here, but there's also some stuff to work on. And finally, on the right side of the screen there, you'll see that there are the seasonal emotes. So we've got the stinky meat wagon, and then we've got the goblin. They'll be coming as usual in the war chest and as the PvP rewards. No change to anything there. So let's get straight into it then. So the new mini for Season 8 is Dryad, part of the Cenarion family, as you would expect, because obviously the Cenarion family is growing. That's the latest family into the game. A physical ranged mini who applies root and poison on hit, which grants some elemental damage in addition to her mostly physical damage attack. He's meant to be really, really good against stronger targets, so certainly like tankier units, and has a fast movement speed. We'll come onto the traits and the talents in a minute. So a note there is that obviously, as she can hit flying minis, is that the root doesn't affect flying minis. That would be an odd sort of mechanics. That makes sense, but the poison does affect them. But her priority, not priority, but her effectiveness will be mostly against ground targets. Dryad is supposed to be reasonably fragile. Like I say, we've got the stats for Dryad, which we'll look at in a moment. But yeah, looks decent. A completely new mechanic in there. The new ability, this javelin, which is the single target, ranged attack, ground and air, throwing a spear forward, root and poison. Like every other mini, 3 talents. So firstly, got barrage, anyway, favour new targets when possible. So targets the highest health mini. I think I've read this a few times and I'm just trying to work out exactly what this means, because favours a new target is one thing, or targets the highest health mini doesn't necessarily mean that that is the newest target that has become in range. So I'm not 100% sure on exactly how that's going to work, so stand by for a little bit more detail, a little bit more clarification on that one. Thorns, so gain thorns on kill, dealing damage back to melee attackers, which stacks up to 10 times. Yeah, okay. And then nature swiftness, so grants a like the fast trait, so rapid movement speed to an ally. That ability's got 1 charge, like the shaman's earthen shield, is it, that grants armoured? Anyway, so of the talents, I'll be honest, I've read these a few times and I'm really, really not sure which one I think is going to be the best, because there's, personally, I can see pros and cons of all of them, and normally when I pick one that I think's best, I always pick the one that turns out to be the shittest. So we're not going to do that today, but let's just talk about them very, very quickly, and let me know in the comments if I've kind of if I've got some of this wrong, or if you disagree, or which one you think would be the best. But barrage, if Dryad is targeting a particular mini, then I'd say that most of the time you want to kill that mini and not be moving on to target something different. If an enemy mini has got 1 HP or full HP, it still does 100% of its attack damage value. So I don't know how beneficial it will be to have Dryad changing targets rather than just finishing off the target that she was attacking in the first place. So we'll see about that. Thorns, I think Thorns was okay on Quillbore. I used the poison talent on Quillbore 99, if not 100% of the time. So I'm not sure, we will see. This does obviously mean that melee attackers have to get near Dryad. And obviously Dryad has got the root ability on her attack, so I don't know how like reasonable or how many times that's really going to trigger, but you know, we'll see. And then nature swiftness grants like the fast trait to something, so I'll come on to that in a minute. It's not going to grant fast trait to a fast mini already, but speed is not always a good thing. as my wife has told me before. We're not getting into that. So sometimes you don't want your ranged minis just bolting past the tank. And as hilarious as it might be to have a fast trait Molten Giant, that if your tank unit also charges off and leaves your ranged minis behind, then they haven't got that protection. So I'm really not sure about that one either. So I really can't make my mind up on these. I can kind of see some pros but cons of them all as well. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think will be the best one, or if I've completely missed the point and there's an obvious standout talent to go to. Here are the traits, the stats, and some of the notes on the talent. So I'm not going to, talk through every single one of these. I've not done a comparison of a health of 370 at 1 gold. At level 1, what is that comparable to? I haven't gone into all of that detail. Dryad will cost 4 gold to deploy. What else we got on there? Attack speed of 1.6 and a range of 8. So again, it'll be worth having a look then to see if things like Huntress or Pyromancer or Darkspear Troll have got a similar range, or if Dryad is going to be able to get a shot off and root those minis before they get into range, because Dryad could be super strong. I think, there's certainly a lot of good stuff that looks like Dryad is going to bring to the game. Around the talent notes then, so Barrage is compensating for the Cenarions having a lack of AoE. Obviously you've got Moonkin in there that does that sort of AoE single target rotation, but that's about it off the top of my head. Thorns are in there to help with some of the interactions to ensure that there's a few more 1-for-1 trades, and the stats on that are 12 physical damage at level 1. Like I say, it stacks up to 10 times, so a maximum of 120. And then Nature's Swiftness, as I said earlier, it's not going to grant the fast trait to minis that have already got the fast trait, and also if you've got multiple Dryads on the board, they won't be buffing the same mini. So if a mini's already been buffed by one Dryad, a new Dryad on the map is not going to add that buff as well. So that's Dryad. I think the Dryad as a mini seems like it could be pretty strong. Some good mechanics in there with the root and the poison. I'm just not 100% sure about the talents, and I'm interested. Let me know in the comments, what do you think is going to be the best, and which one do you think you're going to prefer? So finally then, we're getting a new dungeon that will slot into the rotation. The same, the same rotation as the rest of them. We'll just now have 5 to go at. So Scholomance is coming into the game, the same as the other dungeons. 3 stages, 3 bosses. This will be premiering on August the 25th for a week through till August the 31st. And in that week, I don't think, unless my maths is out, I don't think that's due to be Cenarion week, but it will be Cenarion week in this one. So another opportunity, if anybody didn't get full gold slots on their Cenarion leaders, that you will have another opportunity to do that. And then, like I say, it'll go into the normal rotation where we'll just bounce around the rest of the families in Scholomance from there. So the bosses then, we've got Jandis Barov, who creates clones of herself to do her attacking. We've got Rattlegore, the Bone Golem, who does physical damage. And then we've got the Dark Master Gandling, teleports range magic. Unfortunately, we haven't been given any B-roll footage, so we'll have to see exactly how this works. The thing I'm, I suppose, most concerned about with the introduction of Scholomance is that for a lot of people who've played the game for a while now, is that dungeons are in this strange spot where I'm not sure what is their purpose. I would guess that more than 50%, probably more than like maybe 75% or so of the community who've been playing the game for a bit now are probably steamrolling most of the existing dungeons. And if Scholomance comes into the game and he's capped like normal at level 23, that whilst this is an introduction of new content, again, it's not like an enduring content. It's not something that's going to bring, hours of new content to the game. If anything, if it's like the existing dungeon pool, it's going to bring like minutes to the game. And I've got a bit of a concern around dungeons at the moment, because there was talk originally about putting a level cap on our armies that we take into a dungeon to make them more challenging, the same as exists with sieges. That hasn't come in yet. There's been no mention of it coming in Season 8. I'm just unsure at the moment. I like the idea of a new dungeon and new mechanics and how these bosses are going to work. I think dungeons are in a weird spot. One of the bigger changes that's coming in Season 8 is the new grid and the in-game shop upgrade. So there's going to be grid space overrides that are going to allow you more control over the purchases that you make from the in-game shop. And there's going to be two things that are added to the shop. They're mutually exclusive. They can only be used one at a time for the grid, and they are the Rarematic and Tinker's Gem. Now, Rarematic can be placed on the grid to override minis to rare quality and cost in the same row or column, and then the item is consumed once you purchase a mini. So you can pick the mini that you want or pick the row or the column that you want, drop that on there, and as with the icon on the right hand side, the gold and blue on the left hand icon, there's like an arrow which is going to tell you everything in that row or column, what has been kind of boosted to that rare quality. The second thing that's coming is the Tinker's Gem. That's also going to be placed on the grid. Again, like I say, you can only use one of these at a time, and it's going to grant additional bonus XP to minis in the same row or column as that when purchased. So it works exactly the same as the existing XP gem that we get in there every kind of like 18 minis that you cycle through on the grid, but this will be one that you can place in there. I don't know exactly how much XP extra this gives, but it gives extra XP, gives you more control, so it should make the grid more valuable, and there's a little bit more on the grid and certain minis not appearing, which I'll cover in a moment. So the initial availability is that the Rarematic will be available the week commencing August the 14th. That should be the day when this video goes live. That's when the embargo is for this content coming out. We have had notification that that might be slightly delayed. We will see on that. It is a reward for clearing the second siege boss, which also goes live, hopefully at the same time as this video dropping. So I'm not sure what that's going to mean. That if this hasn't been introduced into the game because of some additional behind the scenes work that needs to be put in to the Rarematic, that if you then complete the second stage of the siege, is this going to be awarded to you or not? There's probably a little bit more detail to come. There might be a bit more information that comes available tomorrow, but at the time of me recording this video, I'm going to be at work all day tomorrow. So, like I say, that's the information that I've got at the moment. There might be a bit more. We will wait and see, but it will be available from clearing the second siege boss this week, hopefully. The Tinker's Gem will be available from the week after. That's going to be a Dark Moon Fair reward. And that both of these upgrades are being scoped for future events, monetization potential, obviously, and there's going to be packs and bundles in the store as well and things like that. So I think this is a good thing. This is going to be able to focus the grid better to get what you want and to be able to level up minis that you want. So I think this is only a good thing. I just hope it's fixed in time for the siege this week. Finally then, bug fixes, improvements and optimizations. There's not loads in this, but we'll cover it quickly. The grid wasn't displaying stars from purchasing a mini, okay. Mini bonus XP was not being displayed on daily offers above the purchase button, okay. You should now get the correct number of Acts of Resurrection when you're claiming your dungeon rewards, okay. And the big one is the fixed an issue where the loading bar would go above 100%. That is a biggie. Anyway, so improvements and optimizations. Then the daily free gift XP has had an upgrade. I don't know what it's been upgraded to, but I'd imagine it still won't be very good. But hey, I really, really hope that I eat those words and I'm completely wrong, and I hope that they're giving out thousands of XP, but I just can't see it happening. Added a no rewards warning to raids when a player joins who is out of assists. Okay, maybe you forgot how many times you've done a raid and you need reminding, possibly. Add a show next button to the sigil road. Okay, improved startup loading times. Again, there's been a lot of optimizations like under the hood type stuff that's going on to make the game load faster, to make it so that your device is not as hot, and to support future features and things like that. So that's one of them. Valid upgrades and rerolls will now display all possible options instead of just 3. That is a good change. I'm happy that there's been that as an improvement. I think that'll be really good, rather than just limiting the 3 that you can choose. Like, why make it any harder than it needs to be? So I think that's really, really good. Minis that already at max star points will appear in the grid much less often. So as I said before, another change to the grid. So that's going to save you having them spots that are taken up by stuff that you really, really don't need. Give you more chance to upgrade other minis, which again, I think is only a good thing. And as I've just said, additional optimizations, performance improvements, crash fixes, etc., etc., all that sort of stuff under the hood. So that is it. That is everything that I know about Season 8, which is coming later in the month. Let me know. I'm interested. What do you think about Dryad? What do you think about the talents? Scholomance, dungeons, how is that experience for you? Some of the other big bug fixes, improvements and optimizations. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you're not already, please get yourself subscribed and I'll see you in the next one.